Good morning, hope you're doing okay. End of month, and we had a big change on the risk calculation. However, there's a bit of a caveat with the risk calculation today. It's because we're at end of month, like I say, and we've got QT starting tomorrow, and they've got a $8 trillion balance sheet they're trying to reduce. It's a huge deal from a fundamental perspective. So I think we're going to be quite choppy and roller coaster for the next 48 hours. And there was a big interesting development with yen overnight, which I'll show you. So normally risk on, sentimentally that would be a good indication. However, fundamentally we might not be out of the woods because of that QT, and whether or not they're positioned for it, I don't think anyone really knows what's going to happen at the New York open bell. We could probably be sentimentally risk on, but fundamentally it could be risk off. Yen strengthened, and so that's interesting. And note that the dollar lost its top spot against the CAD, so that dollar CAD would be in play for a short. Okay, lots of green on the indices, Aussie, USD and oil. There's the buy for S&P, made two buys in fact back to back, and the QT starts tomorrow, so New York Open will be interesting. Gold, they went long, so we fell, and then they shorted it, so we come up, and that happens all the time, every single day. Now the 30-year yield spiked overnight, and that's back to where it was when when the Russia-Ukraine fears were in play. It looked like it subsided a little bit, and I think this is spiking not because of Russia-Ukraine but because of QT and the unknown variable that's going to happen from it. We really fundamentally should be risk off, and Powell's trying to engineer a soft landing, so this might be like a hedge, I'm thinking, because the big fish aren't really sure what's going to happen, so they put their money into the 30-year yield where it's quite safe, and it's going to act as a hedge. If we are going to be risk on, they'll just take their money out and then this will fall. But if this starts pumping, the stock market should fall. That's the theory, that's the correlation. So if this goes up tomorrow, we'll know pretty good, decent confidence that we're probably going to go risk off on the stocks, on the indices. So these are good metrics to look at, and also you want to be careful about inversion as well. We don't want an inversion because that would be risk off. Okay, so they're hedging in case risk starts to puke, which is understandable. If you had like $1 billion portfolio, then you'd want to be hedging, because tomorrow's going to be unknown basically. 8.9 trillion balance sheet, which is ridiculous how it ever got that out of hand. It's just so crazy how they printed the money to that extent. So what's going to happen here? It might be like a taper tantrum. If so, then it's going to be massively risk off probably, and then it will disagree with the sentiment as well. So we have to be careful when we get signals, because they are sentimental based only. They don't take into account fundamentals, they're just sentiment and a little bit of technical too. So there's Swiss, it moved a lot, not so much movement really, but you want to get things to align, which Aussie and CAD are doing, and Kiwi as well. And so this is the thing that went out to the technical channel earlier, that we got a massive breakdown across yen and US 500. Absolutely huge breakdown of correlation. That's never seen that before ever. So I think this is tying into the uncertainty that's going to happen in the next 48 hours. Normally what happens is that AJ tracks US 500 very well. It's got a minus 86% probability of correlation. So they're doing the opposite with 86% probability. So that is highly unusual. So one of them is lying, and I suspect it's probably going to be risk needs to catch up. These can't be that disconnected. So one of them is lying. Either these need to catch up to the S&P, or the S&P has to catch up to the yen. So that's out of bonk completely, and that's what making me think we have to be careful today with the signals, because there's a lot of that's unusual, and it's a little bit scary because that's very unusual as well. Could be an omen, and we could see a potential pullback in risk, which I think might happen. So do be careful. That's really strange. Okay. Mixed currently. If I look at it now, it's pretty much the same. Aussie is fallen. The Australia 200, yeah, that's fallen a lot since. We're minus 1% now, and that's fallen as well. Nasdaq. Yeah, so we are going a little bit risk off. So I'm just looking at this basically. This is the live heat map, and this is the screenshot that I took, what, 20 minutes ago. So we are falling. No signal here. That's fine. And there's yen being strong sell. So the reason for a little bit of confusion with correlation with yen and risk is that we are actually a sell on the yen. So XXX/yen can go up, but whether or not it's going to agree with what's going on fundamentally, and fundamentally we could be risk off. So it's going to be very tricky with the yen, I think, whether or not we're going to be sentimental or we're going to be fundamental. Sentimentally, XXX yen can go up. Fundamentally, we probably could fall because we need this to align, and this is highly irregular. Okay, so be careful with yen, I think. And you'll note that it's actually coming down quite a bit. It was over here a couple of weeks ago, and now it's coming down. If it carries on, it won't be the weakest anymore, and then it will strengthen. So if it strengthens, then that is going to be a risk off indication. Stop loss cluster update. Well, I can show you the largest stop loss cluster. It's EJ. The largest mover was gold towards sell. However, what happens with gold is that it comes over here, then it goes over here, and it comes over here. It does a yo-yo rubber band thing on intraday, and so this is taken yesterday at 6 o'clock in the morning, and this gold had fluctuated a lot since in 24 hours. So even though it says sell, it actually has moved a lot already in the 24-hour period. We've come over here and we're coming back over there. So that's that. Note that the dollar CAD is strong sell and the pound USD is a strong sell. This has to agree with monthly pivot, static and dynamic. So are we below or above monthly pivot? Are we a sell at the high level or a buy? Are we a buy or sell at the low level, which is the time component? So basically a static and dynamic is this bit here. So, you know, should be quite obvious really. There's pound USD, red, red, dollar CAD, red, red. So that's that. Just said about gold moving a lot on the sentiment. There's the area where we could potentially target, but it's looking like that this is going to fall because of the fundamentals, and you could probably argue the risk on off flows is going to overcome the sentiment today and tomorrow because, you know, this QT thing. So we did okay yesterday, considering, you know, the volatility and stuff. 64 pips in total. They were all successful, which is quite cool. AJ wasn't recorded because we don't know technical checks, and it did appear, but we don't include it because we need the technical checks in. So dollar CAD was our best one, and you'll note that the CAD is there, so the CAD is strong, okay, and we know technically it's strong as well. 64 pips, that's fine. We're probably turning risk appetite, so the signals might be a bit choppy. If they do appear, be careful. I will record them, but, you know, do note that we're going to probably turn quite a bit on the risk. So CPI from the Eurozone, and we've got GDP from Canada, and then tomorrow we've got a busy calendar as well. You know, lots of things on the calendar tomorrow, so trade safely and remember to be careful for the next 48 hours. So I'll wrap up now, and just to summarize, I think we have to be careful because we are falling a little bit now. It might be that China is going to prop up the market again, and that's the scenario that happened a little while ago. So they might be propping up the market. So we'll have to wait and see, and be careful of yen as well. So have a good day, trade safely, and I'll speak to you tomorrow for the bulletin.